Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Yes. Public comments, recognition of guests. I don't think we have anyone that submitted for public comments. And our first presentation this evening is Patrick Allen with the IASB Governance Award. Yay!
I always clap.
I'm here to present you guys with the School Board Governance Recognition Award. This award acknowledges those school boards that have engaged in activities and modeled behaviors and practices that lead to excellence in local school board governance in support of public quality education. What I'll say is that what I've noticed about you guys in my time at the association is you don't just do this to fill out an award or fill out a presentation to have an award. You really live up to this, right? You guys are an example that I use as a board that really does not only want to have these things, but want to show that you've got this award, but you really live it through everything that you do. So it's been a pleasure to work with you guys, and I've got another little sticker for you guys. Your plaque.
Thank you. Before he leaves, I feel like we should do a photo with him.
Yeah, want to do that now, real quick?
Quick photo.
Do a photo real
I know, I was like, oh, good, Chelsea's more dressed down than me.
quick. May I be in your photo?
Yeah.
Let's stand here. Ryan, will you take it?
Apparently.
Okay, up next we have our exemplary nights. Up first we'll have our exemplary night staff members. For our exemplary night staff members, you have been recognized by your peers for your exemplary work. As a Board of Education, we want to thank you for your efforts and positive impact on Blue Ridge. Up first we have from Schneider Elementary, Noelle Cooney. From the intermediate junior high, we have Sam Barton. And from the high school, we have Lauren Schriefer. Oh, gosh. And then for our exemplary night students, we recognize the exemplary actions that brought you to the attention of your teachers and principal. As a Board of Education, we appreciate your efforts and excellence. We want to say thank you for a job well done. From the high school, we have Rachel Light. She's not here. And Emma Pankow. For 8th grade, we have Gavin Ozzie. Is it Ozzie? It's O, isn't it? It's O, isn't it? I said it wrong. Dang it. For 7th grade, we have Chloe Robinson. That's it. 6th grade, Kellen Broadstone. 5th grade, Mallory Cheek. Fourth grade, Elena Dean. She's not here. Third grade, Amira Dukes. Still not here. Second grade is Remy Whitler. First grade, Lewis Hill. And kindergarten, Wyatt Cerna. Yay, Wyatt! He sits at us at lunch all the time. He's like the nicest kid in the whole kindergarten. I love the night.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we need parent time. Parents, you come up and get pictures?
Wyatt, good job, Wyatt. He can't hear me. He's like, oh my gosh. Music. Okay, up next, we have communication, and in the packet is the IASB liaison talking points. If anyone has any questions, we do have Patrick here, so. Oh, nope, no questions for you, Patrick, sorry. I know, he was just walking, he stopped.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, Wyatt.
Oh, the thank you chocolate bar?
Up next, committee reports,
Month.
and then administrative reports.
Okay, administrative report, mine's kind of short this month. Summative evaluations are completed by principals, so that kind of marks for us the end of a long journey and kind of the start of planning for next year. I'm pleased to announce that we've had 4 candidates for our general music position for K through 6 music and 7 and 8 chorus. 2 of those candidates will be interviewed on Friday, so we have high hopes for that. And then I'll move right into the strategic plan update. This is the strategic plan that is about to sunset, even though there's a sunrise right behind you. So there will only be one more report on this strategic plan before we move into the new one. And the things that I wanted to highlight, it's amazing how many of our courses at the high school for AP and dual credit have been added since the beginning of the strategic plan. So new for next year, we will have 2 educational foundation courses through EIU, and that's going to be offered somewhere in this building. I believe it's going to be in our alternative education room. There will be new technology that's brought in there, so it's a very nice back and forth through the technology, because it's going to be 4 school districts, Bement, Monticello, DeLane, Weldon, and us, that are coming together to educate these students. And Mr. Easter, maybe it's maybe about 6 to 8 students from Blue Ridge already have those 2 semester courses on their list. Because we're coordinating with 4 different districts, we don't all have the same bell schedule. So that is going to be an early bird class. So it's going to start at 7:30 in the morning, go till about 8:15. And I'll tell you more information later, but we have one of our teachers who is interested in maybe co-teaching or maybe eventually taking over this course for all 4 of the districts. And more will be coming on that. But right now, the superintendent from DeLane Weldon, since he's the one writing the grant, he would also like to teach for this first year. So I think that's going to be a really neat opportunity for us. And then, of course, Ag Business is going to be added into the dual credit list, and then, AP Chemistry. So that'll be the first of 2 science courses that'll come in the AP fashion. So we're excited about that. And then one thing I wanted to note was we have one current CICEO student, that's Devin Ressler, and Devin is doing his individual group business on social media and marketing, and so he has offered to do some pro bono work for us to build up his portfolio before the trade show comes, and so he's done some work already, most notably at Snyder Elementary. We're going to work on how we can repost that and get a little bit more attention to it. So we'll talk about that tomorrow at a meeting, but I talked to Devin about that today. But he's really interested, and with a young mind, they just know so much more about social media than we do. So we're really excited to see what he can do to boost our presence online. So those are my reports.
All right, Mr. Payton?
All right, I will come in and carry this responsibility.
We don't have a portrait.
I'll continue on from Dr. Stanifer because of Devin Ressler. Yeah, we are very excited about that partnership. He came to our Leprechaun Museum last week, Leprechaun Trap Museum, I should say. I'll talk a little bit about that, but it wasn't in my board report because that happened right after. But all of our second graders were really involved last week in an engineering process where they developed leprechaun traps. And so from the beginning of the design process to the build to the reflection process at the end, they basically developed devices that they would utilize to trap leprechauns. What was really cool about it, though, is at the end of the week, all of the second graders had a leprechaun trap museum. So they came to the cafeteria. They sent out invites to the school. Different classrooms came down to visit where students were sharing about their leprechaun traps. So they kind of talked about the process in general. It's just a fun way for them to kind of make it authentic and have different class members and different school community groups come down and come in and see those things happening. So Devin actually came down and did some videoing and some picture taking, and we did kind of an interview process. But yes, when I posted it to the online, I didn't know how to get a video onto the web page or onto the Thrillshare platform. So that's a good thing we're going to talk more about tomorrow. So I'm excited about that because I think there's a lot of cool opportunities. He's already coming back this week to highlight some of our PBIS Gotcha Store and party, and hopefully he'll be coming weekly to have something that we can get out there and just share that positive school narrative and the things that are occurring in our buildings. So I'm very excited about that. The other thing I'll touch base on, as we had another really cool event that happened the week prior to that, March 3rd through the 7th is Read Across America Week. That's something that we've done for a very long time. Typically, it's just more of, reading different Dr. Seuss books, having some theme type things that would happen each week as far as clothing and just kind of that. But this year, we had a committee that got together about a month in advance and really brought it to a different level. We were able to add a day or a parent drop-in and read day or grandparent drop-in and read day. So we had many families come in on that Monday and read with their student, have a snack in the library, and we just got really positive feedback from various parents that came in that day. So we were very thankful for them creating that opportunity. That's something we're going to continue and even like to expand into doing something semesterly because we did get such positive feedback, and we want to have more parents into the building and supporting learning. Additionally, they did, we did a kind of a cross-age buddies day, and so we paired different classrooms together, and students from kindergarten and second grade would get together by classroom and just do different literacy-based activities together, which is a great way for students to learn from one another and kind of build those partnerships across the building. We ended the week with some Book Madness relays. So Mrs. Beeman had created a kind of a contest throughout the week to select Snyder's favorite book, kind of like a Caldecott winner. So all the classes voted, and they came up with one book called The Invasion of Unicorns. That's what won, and so we celebrated that with some relays in the old gym. And it was just a really fun event. So I wanted to thank, Mrs. Beeman, Mrs. Parson, Ms. McEwen, Ms. Schwarzlos, Ms. Nadrozny, and Mrs. Cooney, who was here tonight, because they really helped to spearhead that event. And really, it was just such a great week. So very thankful to them. I'll hit a little bit on the literacy committee. That's kind of Paige's area, but I just wanted to thank Paige and actually all of our members of our school that were a part of that team. It took a lot of time and effort and many months to really get together and have some dialogue about kind of best practices and review curriculum and listen to presentations and do observations. And we're going to have some information to you coming in the near future. But I really wanted to thank not only just all of our team members, a part of that literacy committee, but also Paige really for spearheading that process.
regret that I have to make a revision to my board notes as of today. I was feeling pretty good about our behavior, not having any out-of-school suspensions, and that changed today. I had 3. I had 1 for out-of-control behavior and 2 more for a fight that happened at lunch today. So I regret to have to make that announcement, but I wanted to make sure that my data to you was accurate. We've had a pretty busy month since we met last. On Tuesday, we finished up our regular IER testing schedule that we have. That's our Illinois Assessment of Readiness. I was able to get in the previous week before we started and talk to each one of our classrooms of students. I put together a slideshow showing them our historical data, showing some tremendous growth that we've had over the last 3 years, and most importantly, showing them how close we actually are to being in the top 10% of the schools in the state, reaching that exemplary status, and helping them understand that just a little more effort will put this over the top. And so I'm really hoping that they took that to heart and that the data we get back is really showing us what they can do. Track and field started last Monday, March 10th. We're excited. We've got quite a few athletes out there getting in shape, getting some running in around, doing some hurdles and the like. The seasonal goal, our first meet is on the 8th of April, and that'll go all the way to the sectional meet on May 10th. And athletes that qualified there will the following weekend for the state championship meet. Spring play I talked a little bit about last week. We've got some more solid dates. We've got April 25th, 26th, and 27th at 7 p.m. and then the 27th at 2 p.m., which is a Sunday. We're excited that we've got students from every grade level in the building helping out. It is called Mission Possible, and so it's going to be a little bit of a spoofy spy type of play. We're super excited, and the kids have been working really hard. Moving on, our 8th graders have been really busy too on our junior high side. Additionally, on February 18th, 10 students were taken up to Skokie, Illinois to participate in a project over at the Holocaust Museum, and where they had to do some school improvement and work on a project and present it to all the kids that were there. There were a number of schools. I think we might have been the furthest south that attended that event. It was really cool. And they also, the 8th graders had a chance to go over to BACC, which is soon to change its name, I think, right? Okay. BCA, okay. For kind of a career fair. It was really cool. They got to kind of decide what professions they might be interested in, and they had lots of representatives there, gave them lots of tools and tips on how to pursue that career if that's something they wanted to do. So it was a great experience for our students. Any questions? Thank you.
Hillary, is that going to be like Assembly Hall? I'm sure if I still call it BACC. How many years?
All right. Yeah, kind of had a lot going on as we wrapped up February and into March. You see the remnants of the Fine Arts Expo from last week. I know some of you were here. Quite a lot of awesome displays of talent, be it some ridiculously great artwork that I can't even pretend to understand, but just know that when I see it, it's really cool to look at, and our kids do some amazing work there. You know, our drama club did some presentations. Our music department put on some performances as well, from jazz band to the choir to the full band. So it was quite a night, and yeah. So that was just last week. The week before that, we hosted a big event here that didn't necessarily involve Blue Ridge, except that we were hosting the IHSA Girls Super Sectional. It's neat. We're kind of located in the middle of that whole region, and the IHSA they want somebody so that teams don't have to travel too far, you know. And so the teams that come to us, generally somebody's coming about an hour from the south and somebody's coming about an hour from the north, and we're just kind of a good central location. And so to see the gym packed for for a sporting event was kind of cool, and I had a lot of help for that to make that happen. Let's see. Students today wrapped up. We did our final SEL lesson for the year. We did 6 different lessons. Today was on setting SMART goals. So we talked to kids about the difference between short-term and long-term goals, and how to actually use SMART goals to accomplish those things. So, again, and I remind our teachers, we do those lessons, and then it's really important to continue those conversations in the classroom, and to implement the same type of things throughout the day, so that kids get more exposure to that. So that was good. And yeah, I've kind of whenever I have an opportunity, I've been trying to start piecing together the master schedule for next year. And yeah, some questions. Some kids had questions about why the change to that, and why are we looking at going to the common 8th period study hall / advisory time, and many different reasons. It's been a discussion for ever since I've been here. Some staff have been kind of pushing for it, and I think what we started to notice over the past couple of years is with our SEL advisories and with some other survey things that we have to do and some other activities that kids have to do, it seems like we're having an altered bell schedule about every week. And we know that kids do a lot better. Everybody does a lot better when you have a set routine, and you know that every day the first hour is going to end at this time, and second hour is going to end at this time, and lunch is going to be at this time. So by doing this, it's going to allow us to severely change and minimize the number of altered bell schedules that we'll have is one thing. It gives a lot of common time for students and teachers, because right now, a student might have a 3rd period study hall, but if they want help with math from Mr. Montier, he might have class then and might not be available. Or in some cases, it might be his prep time, and he's willingly saying, okay, yeah, it's my prep time, but come on in and I'll help you. And we don't like to see that every day either. By putting all the teachers and all the students at the common plan time and the common study hall time of 8th hour, it gives every student access to teachers and students teachers access to all the students, and we see that as being an incredible positive. Our special ed staff loves it because their kids and their advisory will be the kids on their caseload, and they've been clamoring since I got here, like to make sure that their kids are always in their resource, and it just never works out with schedules, with resources being throughout the day. But if we have that common time as 8th hour, then all those teachers can have their students at the same time. And it gives us opportunities to create cohorts of students to be with certain teachers as well throughout the day in regular ed settings, for more enrichment and more supports in a lot of different ways. We did, before we jumped down this rabbit hole, we did an analysis of this year's schedules and analyzed how many kids would be impacted, like how many kids wanted 8 classes throughout the day and didn't want a study hall and didn't have other considerations in place. And it was 6. It was 6 kids this year that we would have had to do some finagling with their schedules. So that's a very small percentage of our students, and we figured we can make things happen for 6 students. We can figure some stuff out. So the students that have had concerns about it, when they've come to Ms. Hieronymus to talk it through, she's been able to solve all of their issues for them and help them see that things are going to be okay. we're gonna be able to make it work for them. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on here. Questions?
Okay. And then we have the remaining administrative reports in the packet. Up next, we have approval of consent items. Unless there are any questions, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items listed on attachment A as presented. Chelsea and Jonathan. Yes. Up next, we have old business. First thing up is financing update for 10-passenger van, fiscal year '26.
Okay, so last month, we talked about the purchase of the van, so we would have more opportunities to fulfill all the trips that are requested. We did talk about your preference for what that loan would be, well, loan versus lease, and then the length of the loan, because the loan was the way that you wanted to go. Option 1 presented there before you shows a $30,000 down payment, and then 2 years of payments after that, which would be about the same. And they can do annual payments for us. It doesn't have to be a monthly payment. So that's what I recommend. We don't actually need you to approve anything. I just wanted to make sure that you saw what Deborah brought back as the two possibilities there. Obviously, you can see option 2, that's a 5-year loan. We would be paying about $19,000 in extra interest if we went with option 2. So let's go with option 1. But again, you don't need to approve anything. Just wanted to make sure that you're aware, doing a little follow-up.
Are there any early payoff penalties on the loan option that you're going with?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Okay. If there are no other comments, we can go to approval of psychology and sociology curriculum fiscal year '26.
Okay. Paige is not feeling well this evening, but she has been working with the teachers in the high school who will be implementing psychology and sociology. From what I understand, those have been taught here previously, but not for the last 5 years, maybe 6, 7, 8 years. So she worked with them, and they came up with some curriculum for you to review and approve. We do have look at a 6-year digital license for each course, and when you do that, then they go ahead and throw in the textbook for you too, which is kind of feels a little bit backwards to me, but that's the way you price it nowadays if you're a textbook company. So, so your approval tonight would allow us to move forward to make those purchases so we can get prepared for the next school year.
Any questions or comments? If not, I need a motion and a second to approve the curriculum for psychology and sociology for Blue Ridge CUSD 18 as presented. Sid? Jason? Yes. New business. Up first is consideration for summer positions.
So this is asking your permission to post for these positions, and then hopefully by next month we'll bring candidates to fill these positions. But summer school for the last 5 years has really been afforded to us by the ESSER grant, ESSER 1, 2, and 3. Last year we transitioned and made things a little bit smaller, knowing that this year was coming and we probably wouldn't have the funding to do all the things that we have been. We do feel very strongly about some certain things that we will continue. Our kindergarten jumpstart's probably one of the most favorite things that we have, so we want to make sure that we use district funds to support that. Again, that's the full week before school starts, so that would be the 4th, I believe, of August. Wow, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's early. So half of the kindergarten crew would come in for half days Monday and Tuesday, and then the other half would come in on Wednesday and Thursday. Just gives them a real neat opportunity to meet faces, see spaces, and get familiar before all the larger children come in. So we're going to ask for 3 teachers and 3 paraprofessionals, which is what we've typically done. Extended school year, that's something that somebody has to be eligible for. It's the team decision at the IEP table. And so we will have a few students there. Depending on exactly who says yes to that, most likely we will need to hire an OT from Tri-County, our in-house speech and language pathologist, 2 special education teachers, and maybe up to 3 paraprofessionals. My ask is a little bit, it's on the large side, because I don't want to have to come back and ask again. If we don't need 3 paraprofessionals, we'll just hire for what we need. That programming is most likely going to look like about 6 weeks of once-a-week service from the special ed teacher. So that's throughout the summer so we can keep skills fresh. Math boot camp, that's something that Mr. Montier at the high school has offered. There's a possibility that he might do a couple ranges of that, maybe some kids that are coming in to 9th grade who are struggling in their 8th grade course, and then maybe those that are going into 10th grade, but they had some struggles in 9th grade math. So he's very adept at being able to put together a program like that. I'm not sure if he's going to call it boot camp again or not, but so it's not a credit recovery thing. It's just basically helping him for the next year. He'll have kids that are more ready to receive the material that he's teaching. So 1 teacher, depending on if we have students with IEPs who are attending, we might need to have a paraprofessional there as well. So again, the larger ask just in case we need that. And then the bridge program. So Mr. Huddleston and Mrs. Colross are already working on names to give over to Mr. Easter and Mr. Kirkton. Those students who are coming from 8th grade to 9th grade might need some extra support. Maybe academically, but most likely socially. So we get them acclimated to the building. We have a lot of teachers that come for that, but it's 4 hours. So it's not like you're paying them for a whole big summer commitment. But we want to make sure they get to meet their math teacher, their English teacher, their science teacher, maybe a social studies teacher, counselor, administrators, just so they get a nice leg up on everybody else. And then that team will continue to meet with the kids throughout the school year to make sure they're checking on them, make sure they're acclimated. And then the other request, the technology department typically asks to hire one summer tech assistant that would do a lot of the routine tasks. Every Chromebook comes in, every Chromebook has to be, when I say cleaned, I don't mean like with a Clorox wipe, I mean, well, that too, but they have to clean all the programs off of there and start all over again. There's a lot of updates that have to happen, so having a person that can come in and do that more routine or mundane skill allows the other part of our tech team to be able to do the extra things in the summertime when kids are not here. So your approval is kind of lumped together with all those different positions, even though they're going to be spread out through those different programs we just mentioned.
Okay, so I need a motion.
And I think I left off that tech assistant. Needs to be another bullet on there, please and thank you.
Tech assistant?
Yep.
I was wondering on that. Okay, so I have a motion by Derek. And I will need a second to approve creating the following summer programming positions for Blue Ridge CUSD 18 as presented. 10 general education teachers, 2 special education teachers, 7 paraprofessionals, 1 OT, 1 SLP, and 1 tech assistant. Okay, so Jonathan. I already had this so moved because Derek. I did, because he did second.
He played by the rules.
Yeah. There you go. See, I love that. Yes. Okay. Up next, we have the PSRP invite to September SIP and October TI.
Okay, so last year was the first year that we came and asked for something a little bit unique. We have 3 categories of personnel. That would be cooks and drivers and paraprofessionals that do not come on those days that were just mentioned, the September School Improvement Plan Day and the October Teacher Institute Day. There are several trainings, and there's more and more coming that have to be given to everybody across the district, and it's really hard to get everybody together because when kids are not here, then usually those categories of employees are not here as well. So if you can afford us to invite them for up to 3 hours on each of those days for up to 6 hours of pay, then what we can do is we can continue to go back over Crisis Go with our emergency plans. We can talk about our trauma-informed practices again, and we have been warned that there's going to be a lot of legislation coming between now and then. Most likely handbooks are going to have to be revised over the summertime because of all the new requirements. Smile on my face. And so many of those things have to be given to everybody, and the only way to do that realistically is to have that time. Plus, we've also had a growing desire to give specialized training to our paraprofessionals, because many times they're thrown into a classroom with a special education teacher or a classroom teacher. There's not a lot of time to train between the two of them. Whose role is whose? This works when I do this, please don't do that. Sometimes the teachers are a little bit hesitant to tell the paraprofessional what to do and not to do, but if we have those trainings, it makes those systems work much better. And so with the new special ed administrator that we'll have, he's very knowledgeable and he does these trainings. He's been doing that in Washington for many years, so I think he would be a good asset for us to continue with that. So if you say yes, what you're allowing us to do is to start our planning that will include those different classifications of employment so they can hear those trainings on those days. It's not required, but it is paid if they do come. So, and then that's probably something to consider in the next round of negotiations if we want to make that like a forever thing.
Okay. If there are no questions or comments, I need a motion and a second to approve inviting drivers, cooks, and paraprofessionals to attend district-wide trainings for up to 3 hours on the September SIP Day and up to 3 hours on the October Teacher Institute Day in the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Sig and Chelsea. Yes. Up next is hours for head cook position, fiscal year 26.
So we have a retiree that's in the head cook position currently at Snyder Elementary. We have another employee in the Snyder Elementary cafeteria who's consistently been getting overtime because there's just a lot of work to do when you're doing as much scratch cooking as what goes on over in that kitchen. So Tanya Evans was requesting if we could add 1.25 hours per day onto that position. It's already posted for next year, but if you approve this, then Christy would revise that posting. So it's a 7:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day. And I was expecting that you would ask, well, what else does that mean? That means that paid benefits currently for that position would be at the 50% level due to how many hours per week, and now this would move up to 75% paid benefits. To me, that would be a nice boost in attracting somebody to that position. So with you approving that, we would move to 5.25 hours per day.
Any questions? Okay. If no questions or comments, I need a motion and a second to approve increasing the daily hours for the Schneider Elementary head cook position from 4 hours to 5.25 hours, effective the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Derek. Jonathan. Yes. Up next, approval of BRHS boiler preventative maintenance.
Okay, so when you learn, you do better, right? So we have found out that our boilers are having some issues here at the high school. And when United Mechanical came to take a look, we've had some, ignition failures. What we've determined is that we don't know that there's ever been servicing on those boilers, which is not a good thing. So on this next page, you'll see United Mechanical has put together a proposal for us. What they would do, since this has never been done and these boilers have been there for a long time, the $7,300 charge would be for completely taking apart and rebuilding those 3 boilers to check and make sure that everything is proper and safe inside. That first initial job is going to be absolutely huge, and it's also absolutely necessary. They are, if I say it, not say it correctly, but they run independently. So when you shut one down, you're still going to have impact from the other 2. So it's not that we're going to go without heating or cooling during that time. So we are proposing that we approve the $7,300 to do that first initial installment. Jason had asked a question. Let me go back to my email. Takes just a minute. Rusty was asking for us to approve. Takes me a long time to flip back and forth for some reason. So yes, it's the $7,300 is to rebuild all 3 units, and then in between the big tear downs, that would be like an every other year thing. $2,500 would be minor servicing in the in-between years. United Mechanical, Jason was inquiring through email, could we do a longer term contract and could we get a better price on that? The $7,300 is the price that they'll give us for the initial piece. But yes, Rusty is interested in, as would I be, interested in looking at a long-term solution with them. We feel that they do very good service for us. We want them to know that they're reliable for us, and I think it would be a good relationship. So your approval tonight would just be the $7,300 to get the initial piece done, and then after that, Rusty can bring us another proposal for the ongoing service.
Okay. Any questions? We're so quiet tonight. I need a motion and a second to approve United Mechanical's boiler preventative maintenance proposal for Blue Ridge CUSD number 18 as presented. Jason, Chelsea. Yeah, I think so. You're Charles, faster.
Yes.
Yes. Up next, personnel plan, fiscal year 26.
Okay, so we have 3 sections in kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. So of course the question for this year, going into next year, is what do we do about 5th grade? To be honest, I come from districts of larger size, and having 25, 26 kids in a 5th grade classroom is normal for me. It's not our norm here in Blue Ridge. There's been considerable conversation. Mr. Payton has knowledge of those students as they were recently in his building. Mr. Huddleston has current knowledge of those students. Looking at the makeup of the class, it's our recommendation that it would probably be wise for us to make sure that we're giving the teachers the best possible shot at moving them forward instructionally. And so the proposal would be to move 5th grade to 3 sections. I do want you to know that we also had conversation about, okay, let's go back and look at all the other grades and see what their numbers are. You have an incoming 2nd grade class that's smaller. And as they come through, could we take a teacher out of 2nd grade and move them over to 5th grade? We could. Is that good for morale? No, because that's going to be a moving target every year. This year, it's specifically detrimental because we have a new curriculum for ELA that's going to be coming in. So every single teacher at Snyder is going to be learning that over the summertime and throughout the school year, and probably next summer as well, all the way up through 8th grade. So it's really tough. I wouldn't feel right about making a recommendation of moving. Financially, it makes smart sense to move somebody from 2nd grade to 5th grade just to fill that spot. But then what do you do after that? So back in my early years here, like 2017, I think that had been the norm. And we had sat with 2 sections for a while, and now we've consistently been able to build. So below that smaller class, we're seeing larger classes come in. I'll be honest also that kindergarten registration, we haven't had large numbers, but sometimes that happens. Sometimes we get big numbers in the early registration, sometimes we don't. But we've consistently had those larger groups coming through. So I don't know if either of the principals want to speak to anything there with 5th grade, or if you have any questions for them.
Yeah, so our current 4th grade section is in 3 sections. It's worked out well. There's been some personalities that Mr. Peyton and I talked about that have done really well when they've been in 3 separate classrooms. We'd love to see that kind of continue as we're building those classes. Our incoming 4th graders are currently over 60, so that's definitely going to fill those up. And so I feel like doing this now will really benefit us.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, any questions?
Any questions? Okay. If not, I need a motion and a second to approve adding a teaching position to 5th grade beginning the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Derek.
Second.
She was
a lull there. I waited for you.
Chelsea. Sig's like, I'm not doing it this time.
Yes.
Yes. And up next, we have Kidwind World Competition Proposal.
Okay, this is pretty cool stuff.
Sounds very fancy.
Yeah, yeah. So Science of Energy class taught by Mr. Cullen Skurlock worked for many weeks on building their own structure. And so they went to the competition, and as Cullen would say, we didn't really expect that we would place. And what do you know, they came away from the regional competition with 1st place for the high school category. So then they were presented with the opportunity to go to Kidwind World competition. Thankfully, it's in the United States. It's in Phoenix, Arizona. And some of the students were talking to me today and just saying, I never thought that this would be possible. Thank you so much for trying to make this happen. Is it all of the kids that have never flown, or most? Some. Some have never flown. But what we're looking at is sending these kids and our 2 science teachers to Phoenix, Arizona, literally right after graduation is over. Like, hurry up, don't take too long talking, because we got to get them out of here and get them up to O'Hare so they can fly out to Phoenix. The pricing has changed kind of by the hour, because we were in one hotel and then we looked for another hotel. The hotel price was much better at the new place, but we couldn't get the last night. So they could leave that night late, but they're going to get to O'Hare at 1 o'clock in the morning. And so we're having a little bit of an issue with trying to figure out, do we have a driver that, I don't know if we could safely have them leave Farmer City at 10:30 at night, go pick them up at 1 o'clock in the morning, be back at 3:30, and then start a route by 6:30 in the morning. So, so maybe some who have driven school vans might want to consider being at least the pickup person for them when they come back on, I think it's the 21st or the early morning of the 22nd. Hint, hint. So, So, yeah. So there's been a lot of different things. The wind companies are coming through with thousands of dollars for us to go. The total cost is somewhere around $9,000 plus. We do have a Blue Ridge grad who's a new scholarship donor that I've been speaking to because he has a specific interest in, well, he has a specific interest in farming, but he also has an interest in science. So maybe the weight of the turbines with farming will be outweighed by the science good that's going on. So I've approached him through Kurt Homan. We've worked on, he's starting 3 scholarships this year. He's also making a donation to the STEM Club. And since this came up kind of at the last minute, and he'd been looking for something to do to impact this year, it's like, here it is. So he's going to consider, he might be a matching donor for us. I've asked BREF if they would also consider. Everybody's kind of waiting for the other person to decide how much they're giving. We did a promo, Mr. Easter and I did a promo on WHOW this morning, and with your permission, I'd like to invite WCIA for a nice promotional thing to the April 16th board meeting, when the team of kids will come and they'll make a presentation to you.
Don't wear a hoodie.
Yeah, don't wear a hoodie on April 16th. So, and then we would invite the News Gazette as well and see if they want to come. That was one of the things that our donor had wanted. He wanted to make sure that this was well publicized and that we had a desire to continue to do this year after year, which Cullen definitely has a desire to continue to do this project. So the kids are thrilled. The teachers are just beyond ecstatic about this. So they never dreamt that we would even consider making this possible. So, so this is permission. Can they go out of state? So.
My brother is definitely watching.
Getting messages.
Yeah, well, because I'm like, why is he sending me a thing that says new bus driver? And it's the person from The Simpsons, so that's what he sent me. So. You don't even have a child in our school. Turn off. I was like, oh, good. Ah, so annoying.
Yeah.
So the motion is to say let it go, right?
Just to approve the
They
out-of-state
can go out
travel.
of state. Yep.
Go ahead and read.
Okay, so I need a motion and a second to approve the out-of-state travel for Colin Skurlock and Philip Avella with 7 students from Mr. Skurlock's Science of Energy class to attend and compete at the Kid Wind World Competition in Phoenix, Arizona from May 18th to 22nd, 2025 as presented. Chelsea and Jonathan. Yes. Consideration of co-op status with D-Lane Weldon.
Okay, again, there's no action requested at this time, but Michael Tresnick from D-Land came over with his high school principal and met with Evan Miles, Mr. Easter, myself, Jim Kirkton, Shauna Cole-Ross. So at their March board meeting, D-Land talked about what they wanted to continue to do with a co-op relationship with Blue Ridge. They would like to continue all the things that they're doing right now, but they did want to also see what your level of interest might be for a couple other different areas. So they would like to, they know that in a few years they're going to have a hard time fielding a volleyball team. We're struggling with coaches right now and finding a coach, keeping a coach. So they are offering to host a volleyball co-op. So that's something that you need to give consideration to. There's a lot of moving parts underneath that, a lot of emotional ties to our volleyball team, I would say. And so that's one question that will be brought back to you at some point, probably next month or the month after. Wrestling is something that we've talked about for a couple of years now, I believe. We got kind of close with Clinton, I believe, for a while. D-Land is very appreciative of Blue Ridge's financial contribution to all the things that they come over here for. They would like to host a wrestling co-op, which means that they would be the ones paying for the mats and all the things that go along with that, which is a quite expensive startup. I do believe it's something that Mr. Easter's survey that he sends out every year, we have some kids that are interested. We don't feel like it's going to be a pull from other sports. We don't believe the boys that are playing basketball are necessarily, we might have 1 or 2, but they're not necessarily our varsity basketball players that would be interested in wrestling. So we have a teacher who might be willing to be kind of like the bus driver / coach to take the kids over to D-Land for wrestling practice. So that's something, not tonight, but at some point you might be asked to approve that. And then it was actually Paige that had the idea to ask, because she's the board president over there, she asked if they wanted to consider marching band. They have only 6 kids in marching band. They would like to see if we would be willing to host their kids coming over. I think that would be fantastic, so love to be able to help them with that. So again, nothing for you to do about that tonight other than to share your feelings if you have some now, or to just start thinking about it. Thumbs up? Yeah. That's the sticky one.
Yeah, it's sticky for me. It's just tough, especially if.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Easter, do you have any current updates with coaching for us here? To the mic. We're online.
All right, let me think about that. So the position's been posted for month and a half, 2 months. There are a couple people that could be interested, that have reached out about it. And
you've not chosen to set up interviews at this time?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep. We're not ready to
Not
start with
chosen to
interviews.
set up interviews at this time?
Yeah, we're not doing interviews yet at this time. Yeah, we're considering the D-land offer, yeah, there's a couple other possibilities. So I think the D-land, it's not preferable. It wouldn't be my first choice. In fact, I think of all the options, it would be down near the bottom, because I recognize what that looks like. You know, that's a sport that we have here in the fall, and you know, people are used to that. And we wouldn't have that. Our numbers the past couple of years have been down. We really didn't have enough for a JV team last year. I know that 8th grade, junior high is struggling with, am I thinking of girls basketball?
It was girls basketball.
Girls
I'm not
basketball.
sure about volleyball there.
Okay. So maybe volleyball is healthy. Volleyball's a little healthier. Okay. So, yep, sorry, I was thinking about girls basketball. So, yeah, I think that might not be necessary to do. That maybe some of the other options could work out. And by next month, we should have a much clearer picture. In that regard, I don't like to wait. You know, I'd love for people to know, the kids and families to know, this is what's going to be going on, so the coach can start making plans for the summer and say, here's where we're going to do camps, and here's where we're going to do practices, and we're going to get into these, you know, scrimmages or whatever. The longer you wait to get a coach on board or make decisions like that, then the fewer opportunities there are like that for the kids. So, yeah, I think that's does that seem about fair?
Okay, so I hear a resounding yes for everything other than volleyball. We don't have a final answer tonight, but there are concerns in that area. Fair? Okay. I will be in contact with Mr. Tresnick.
And a motion and a second to move from open session to closed session for discussion of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the school district, evidence or testimony presented to a school board regarding denial of admission to school events or property pursuant to section 24-24 of the school code, provided the school board prepares and makes available for public inspection a written decision setting forth its determinative reasoning at 7:54. Oh, wait. Sig and Derek, I think is what I heard. I don't- Yes.